Hello and welcome everyone.
Fellow Sublime Text fanatics, welcome to the second ever episode of ODAT Nerd Off the Clock, where we will do some coding right here on the old YouTube for our package that we're working on, which is currently called Date Enhanced Snippets, but we actually want to change that name to something else. Now, if you'll excuse me for just one moment, for some reason my phone thinks I want to watch myself live stream, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I've been hearing weird echoes all through stream setup, and I just now realized where the hell that's all coming from. So, there we go. We're all set. We're all good to go. How is everybody doing this fine evening? There we go. We're all set. So, first of all, I'd like to let everybody know that we're in the middle of a heat wave here in Western BC. Doing okay. We got AC in everywhere but the old nerdatorium, if you will. So we have this series of fans that's blowing air basically around the corner and down the hallway to get into here. I've turned off the loudest of those behind me. It's okay in here for now. I have a little fan blowing on me over there, and that should be all the airflow that I need. But should you notice that the sound quality has a sort of like a quiet buzz or something in the background that's related to the fans, please let me know, and I'll go and turn off the one that's a little further down the hall, and we'll be all good to go for the time that the stream is going, because it is evening now here for me. It's 8 o'clock Pacific. Apart from that, I hope everybody had a fantastic week since last week, unless you saw me on one of my Twitch streams, which I also do on Wednesdays and Fridays. Details on that are probably down in the description of this particular live stream. What we're here for, though, is to hang out with the Sublime Text community, hang out with all our friends here, and work on a Sublime Text package. And what we're working on this evening is a little bit more work on a package that we have been calling Date Extended Snippets, because it started in response to someone asking a question of, can you create a snippet that inserts the current date and or time? And we have that working. We've come up with a way to make that work, and we actually took it a couple of steps past that into the area of being able to insert more or less anything we want that's dynamic. Right now, the only other proof of concept we have in here is being able to insert the clipboard text. But I could also envision, at a minimum, making a snippet automatically insert some other things that people have asked me about in the past. One of which is, what if you had the 3 lines pasted and you wanted to insert them into 3 different places into the snippet? Is there a way to make that happen? So we could look into that as well. The way we left this at the end of last week looked a little something like this. We wrote a bunch of changes in here, a bunch. Right now, our entire plugin is one gigantic long file, which is not at all what a person actually wants for something like this. So we're going to perform some surgical operations to commit this stuff in. We're going to rename some things so that we can come up with an actual package for this and set it up so that people who aren't us can actually play with it. And then we're going to, factor the code a little bit as well to make it a little bit nicer and easier. For a reminder, what we have in here is the ability to be able to say that date field 1 is the date, for example, and that is the clipboard. So if I was to copy this text and invoke this, save this snippet and invoke new latex document from inside here, which is going to be that, the one from the snippet enhanced. When I hit it, that inserts out into the current date automatically, and as you can see, the text that was in the clipboard is plunked in there as well. And then we can, our title here, and away we go for stuff that we might want to put in here. So that part stuff, that it's all working great. We just sort of named it a little funky. Hello, David Souls, welcome. By the way, relating to a Sublime text package that does web test and web request type stuff, how would you envision something like that working? Asking for a friend. See how well we do on the old cold beverages here. I declined to make a coffee this particular evening. All right, so let's see. We did that. Maybe we want to... Yeah, here's what we're going to do as a little test here, okay? We're going to stash that. Now, I'm going to go to here, and let's actually do project close like that, and then we'll move date extended snippets to enhanced snippets. And actually, before we do that, let's actually go check here and see. No such package. That's what I like to see. Then we go into here, and oh, we're going to be unhappy about this, aren't we? We're going to be unhappy about this. I did not want to open the file. Thank you. Yeah, sort of like the stuff that we were doing with Insomnia the other day. Because it's also, I've also pondered the idea that I would love to have something like, you tell me if this would be handy in the general case, because I don't do a lot of web development, perhaps you do, but what if we had code like the stuff that we work on in the Twitch stuff that actually has requests, and part of the request code is a little comment that explains how to use it, and something about that comment could be grabbed out by a plugin to know how to make a request, and you could just put the cursor in that file or in that comment, hit a key, it would invoke the web request with whatever parameters that you specified as part of your test, and then show you the result in another panel, so that you don't have to keep flipping back and forth between Insomnia and whatnot. Something like that would be very easy to do, potentially hard to do well, in as much as a guy that doesn't do a lot of web development, I don't know what the normal workflow for that is, other than the stuff that you see me bumbling with while we're working on stuff. Let's move date extended snippet.sublime project to this. And let's move date extended snippets workspace to that. And we will do a little bit of that. Not subble. VI, enhanced snippet, that's Sublime, workspace. Find all of the instances of this. No. Find all instances of that and replaced it with enhanced snippets. And then let's see what happens if we do subble enhanced snippets at Sublime project. All right. Righty. Oh. And then we'll probably want to do something like that. That'll just make that a little bit nicer to look at. Now I'm assuming that I probably had that checked in, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay, so I stashed that change. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find where... Wow, how much crap did I change as a part of that? Yeeps. Oh, right. Hang on. I've not really looked into that. I assume that's probably the case. Yeah. Here. I forgot. Yeah, go away. Oh, that's right. I'm trying to pick close, not clone. We go back to here and do that. That'll make that a little bit nicer, because now it's not looking in the wrong place for stuff. We also want to quit view just temporarily, because what do we call that bad boy? RM data enhanced snippets and ln minus s local source enhanced snippets to here. Okay, so now when we fire this up and go to this, we should be where we want to be. We'll just get rid of that extra window that we don't actually need. There we go. Okay, so now we're doing a little better in that regard. We're going to have to change a bunch of stuff, such as the things that we put into this, which is why I stashed that change there. So let's say we close a bunch of this stuff for now. Oh, well, actually, let's keep that snippet. I'll just stick it over here for the time being. Get rid of that, and we can be able to clean this bad boy up a little bit. So this is now actually called simple package created. Whoops. Nah, let's leave that part out. I'll work that up later. Simple package that extends. Better change how we actually wrote this. This is a simple package requiring Sublime text 4 that extends Sublime snippet files. I don't like the way that it does that. Yo. Customized to include additional snippet variables such as the current date, time, or clipboard contents. That'll be good enough for the time being. All snips, no dips. Hello, TECHignition. How do? How's everybody's week going so far? I had the day off. We did a lot of couch surfing. We did a lot of eating of stuff that isn't normally et in the house, aka fried chicken, a little bit of ice cream. We're watching the Umbrella Academy. Okay, that's one thing we want to change. Oh, good grief, all of these files need to change. That is an unfortunate turn of events right there, yo. It didn't allow you to post the link, did it? Apologies for that. I can't make YouTube allow links no matter how hard I try. You have to mention it by name or post it in the Discord in the chat and then tell me to go look there, and I will go look it up that way. In order to keep everybody on YouTube safe, links aren't allowed even when you specifically turn links on. Okay, we're going to stage that, and we're going to amend the previous commit. Okay, now we're going to get real unhappy about this because we want to rename all of these files too. This is now going to be called EnhancedSnippets, and we want that to be enhanced and want that to be enhanced. Those ones are probably all cool. Yeah. And here, I want those all to be enhanced. Ooh, the hanker rank questions. I've never been able to get into those. I'm not competitive enough. I think I have too much imposter syndrome. Okay, that should be fine. Is it gonna? It's gonna show deleted files. I sincerely hope. Yeah, it's gonna show that one deleted, and that one deleted, and then that one, and that one. So the whole of this change is. Really, we're gonna be that way, huh? The commands file was just deleted, was it? I don't remember that part. I remember it still being there because it's right here. Well, in any case. Is this going to show us only the crap we want? Looks like it is. Is that a hacker rank thing to be able to do a 3-month thing like that? Okay. Now, is there anything else about this we actively want to change before we go forward? Kind of not a... Oh, crap. All right, we're gonna conflict this thing 45 ways from Sunday. So that'll be fun. But that's my own fault for wanting to fix this. Date snippet should be enhanced snippet. I agree. Oh, actually, maybe we could just... maybe we could apply that stash and only stage stuff that we know we want to fix right now. It's difficult to start because I didn't understand the majority of interviews involved doing hacker rank tests. Yeah, I was not aware of that either. Of course, I've worked at the same place for so long. Huh. That seems like a good thing. Go at a nice pace if you have the time. If you're not in a super rush, you learn a little better that way. Okay, let's see. What we're gonna do here is for all of the tons and tons of changes that we threw in here, we're gonna try to selectively pluck some of these out for staging as the previous version of this, so that we can pretend that it was always called EnhancedSnippets, and then we threw some extra enhancements in. We'll see how well that all works in the end, but this particular package, this will be the second stream that we worked on it, I think. If the title of this particular one, which does not show to me anywhere, so that's fun, is second episode. This is only the second time that we've worked on this particular package. So a total of about 4 hours. And we spent a lot of time mostly talking about how stuff should probably work. We're going to refactor some stuff, but apart from that, you could call it done. I want to try to add something in here that would maybe make it user configurable in a way where anybody that wants to can drop their own additional things in. We'll see how that goes. And there's a lot of niceties to add to really flesh it out. But the basis of what you want is there right now. We started off just... Whoops. We started off just doing dates because someone in the Discord asked a question about, can you make a date snippet that expands out a date? And in Sublime Text 3, that wasn't directly possible without a key binding. And here in Sublime Text 4, it's actually possible to do something like this due to some enhancements that have been made to the auto-completion API. And we're going to see a little bit of that here. So one thing is we used to call it date snippet. Since it's everything, we're going to want that to be enhanced snippet now, I would imagine. In this dictionary, the keys are scopes, and the values of those keys are arrays of dicts that have the key. So that's different. That's not something we want. That's not something we want. That's not something we want. I think probably, now that I think of it, a fair part of this is not going to be something we actually want in here. So it probably would have been cleverer to do it the other way, all else being equal. Yeah. Let's just do it and get conflicted, and that'll teach us for not knowing what it is we actually want to build here. Let's unstage that change as well. But okay, yeah, you reload. So instead of date, it is enhanced. So that's one of the things we want. One of the other things we wanted is enhanced in that thing. This should not be named date snippet. This should probably be called enhanced snippet refresh cache. All of that part will be fine. We'll call this enhanced snippet. We still need to add a setting for that. We'll change this to be enhanced. The name that we gave this thing up here was enhanced snippet. So instead of this being called date snippet, it should be called enhanced snippet refresh cache. It's a Sublime and a Sublime. It's Sublime all the way down. We want to change this to actually, let's change this to augmented snippet event listener for all that we necessarily care about that. And that should also be enhanced. So if we do that and quit and restart to make sure everything is fresh, first thing we want to note is that it says it's refreshing the snippet cache, which means our command ran, which means that the plugin loaded successfully executed enhanced snippet refresh cache. So that's good. There is a setting here for a thing for enhanced snippets open readme, which does. There's one for preferences, which opens as an empty file, which is fine because we haven't added any actual preferences yet. There's one for key bindings, which shows a sample. There's a file that we actually need to change. That should be enhanced snippet. And we want to change all of them similarly. And there. We don't care about any of those three. By the way, if anybody, I think the bot may or may not be saying it at any given point, but if I have any questions about Sublime or what we're doing here or how things work or why things work or anything like that, feel free to drop them in the chat. We are very friendly towards quote-unquote derailment, just like on Twitch. There should be, I would have thought, a command to actually refresh the cache, and it's not there. And the reason it's not there is because the command it's trying to execute is wrong. So let's fix that. Okay, and now if I do that again and go enhanced snippets, there is a refresh snippet cache, which works. So that's good. If we go over to our new LaTeX document here, because we're saving a snippet file in a package directory, it knows and refreshes the snippet cache to make sure that it collects all of them. So that part's working. That part's not going to work because we haven't actually put that part in yet. So I'm just going to swap this to be date like this. The tab trigger for this is document in LaTeX. So if we scratch buffer, prompt for syntax, LaTeX, and do document, there's this one, which is just the regular snippet. We hover over that. It says snippet. That says snippet. That says the one from the snippet. And then we end up with a thing where the date is that thing right there. But because date isn't something that Sublime inherently knows how to include, nothing happens. But if we use this one, this is snippet enhanced snippet. Maybe that doesn't need to say snippet enhanced, but you know. But when we pick it, the date inserts in there. So we know that part's all working. And all of the stuff that we're doing here will work for any snippet. I should also point out, I never actually mentioned that at any point. The only reason we're using this as a sample is entirely because it is what the person that was asking the original Stack Overflow question that kicked all of this thing off was using as their sample. So if all of that is the case, then the changes that we have here are all we need to do to make this look like a simple package thing. So what did we actually do? We changed this command from date snippet to enhanced snippet, and also in the OS X bindings, and also in the Windows bindings, like so. The command file has to have the correct command, otherwise it won't actually work. We changed the caption, but we didn't change the command. We changed the snippet kind information from date snippet and snippet with date to enhanced snippet and snippet enhanced in that particular hunk of the file. Let's actually stage it and not discard it. When the plugin loads, it invokes our new command. When it generates the actual snippet, it's enhanced instead of date, and enhanced instead of date, and enhanced instead of augmented includes current date, because it was a one-off previously. Hello, Ashwin. How you doing? And then we change date, enhanced snippet, and custom date to those things, and change that command. So yeah, that sharp should all be good. Now comes the part where we're very unhappy because we busted it real good. So let's resolve and see where exactly we're running into a conflict here. Oh, because I changed that and also that changed that, so that's fine. We just want that one. That's the only conflict that's in here. That's not too shabby. Let's unstage that. So again, if we quit and restart to make sure everything is completely refreshed, no event handlers or anything are hanging around. Did we get an error, or did it work for us, is the question. We don't see any errors, so I think that means it works, because one of the things we did in this thing was trim away the thing that messages to tell you that it's actually doing something. So we can have a little something like, yeah, let's do this. One is the date, and 0 is the clipboard, like so. Text we want to pretend was on the clipboard this time around. Let's grab Ashwin saying hello. So let's see what happens when I invoke this particular snippet in here. Whoops. We go doc, and there's the current date, and there's the message that was in the clipboard. So we totally expanded that out like nobody's business. And since I pushed it a little too quick, there's the standard snippet, and then there's the one that we added, if you will. Boop. Oh, where we go. So on the face of it, everything we have in here is a kind of savvy refactor of what this thing was actually doing before, to support two things instead of just one. We need to come up with a nicer way to convey some of this information, but on the whole, we're doing pretty good. Should we actually commit that? Maybe set this up into a GitHub repository so that people who aren't me can actually play with this thing? It's not available on GitHub yet, but watch this. Don't watch that. That wasn't what I meant to click. If I go here, yeah, that's fine. I'm sure I'm recovered as much as I possibly can be. And I want a new repository. And the owner of this repository is, let's say we put it in here and we name it EnhancedSnippets. A Sublime text for extension package for adding custom variables to Sublime snippets. It will be a public repository. It doesn't need any of that crap. Let's go ahead and create it. And then, dunk. And we'll also do this. Mictor enhanced snippets. And then git remote add origin git add egg. Oh, pardon me. Let's try that in the actual place. I didn't push the key enough. Shame on me. Boop. We'll do that. And are we ready to actually push this to GitHub yet? What the hell? And for those that are interested, there is the link to the repository, so you can see a little bit what we're going on here. The README is very, very sparse because we're still actively working on some of this stuff. I guess we've been working on it for 2 weeks because that's when we first created that. There's going to be more files that need to go in here and the like, and more code cleanup, but there you go. Now, one thing we do actually want to do here is this. If I did that, instead I wanted a completion item. We want to say build 4173 is the minimum for doing this. 4073 because that's where we're including details. Because we are, well, actually, specifically, we're using a command completion. It doesn't have any specific action in it, does it? 4073. Let's write that down. Because what we can actually also do while we're over here is look at this. Pretty much, yep. If you know of a way to block some but not all snippets from showing up in the completion thing, that would be extra boss. One of the things that I have as an idea that I haven't checked yet is, really? Is, if you exclude a snippet, does it just not load, or does it also get hidden from the actual package? Because that would be sad. But we call this Enhanced Snippets. What's that link I just pasted? This one? Really? The jerk store called. They're running out of this ridiculously long link. Okay. We put that in there, and then change this to 4073. And there we go. Include in the list of unreleased packages. You know what? It's going to bug me if I do it that way. This is a simple package that adds new the date and the current what do we want to say? The current clipboard contents. Boom. And bingo bango. Right on. All right. We're in. We're in like Flynn, as they say. Okay. Now, that's the initial version of it. We're actually going to do a little bit more stuff because we have a bunch of changes that are in here right now. Do we want to just push those in? Because I kind of wanted to clean stuff up a little bit first. But maybe we should commit this, not push it, and then go from there. I think the only thing that's different from that and that is everything. That's weird. In any case, here's what we're going to do. This commit encompasses, that's not how you spell that. How did we actually do that? That's a darn good question. We need to store some more information about this. I have a feeling one of the things we actually want to have in here is something that stores the actual snippets themselves by path, so that when we notice... Oh, it also has a summary of all of the files too. Also, you can see them over here if you want to look at them that way, if you have a bunch. I tend to mostly just look at that one though. All else being equal, if I have too many files in one commit, I feel like I've done something wrong because the commit's too big. So except for the project at work where it's a mono repository and everything requires changes to 900 files and you don't know what 877 of them are, it's mostly all gravy. Separate function and have it issue 3607. Oh, whoops. We'll do that. And then drop that one because we don't care about that one. Let's see what that issue actually is. Do 3607, you say? It's probably an easier way to do that. Hey, you know what? Is there something in the scraps repo for this already? Because I have in fact implemented this for somebody in a plugin once. It used a quick panel when it landed on that part of the thing to be able to display something. I hope it ended up as a snippet, because otherwise it's been lost to time, because we've cleaned up the user thing for a bit and I don't remember seeing it. Now I'm all paranoid and I have to go look. Oh, don't do that. I would say off the top of my head that that's probably possible to some degree. Whether or not it's what a handy thing, I don't know. Let's see. Wait, did I just see snippets with choices? What's this one? Command clear the console, inserting text, key binding context, running of cursor end of file, expanding snippets with multiple versions of selected text. That's something we want to do something with. Nope. Well, here. Enhanced version of insert snippet that allows you to specify a scope. That's something we're going to steal. Snippets with selections. An enhanced version of insert snippet that allows the expanded text to access as many possible selections individually. That's something we're going to roll into this. Gee, that's sad. I wonder what the hell ever happened to that. It's not in here, right? No. There. I only have 76 unstaged files in here. Nope. Why are there so many theme things in here? Oh. Yeah. Man, I think I added way more things to this. Whoops, sorry. Didn't mean to bump the mic. Scratch buffer, no. VN test, no. Something called poop. Select window color scheme. Oh yeah, that thing that I wrote for somebody in the forum. I named it poop because I wasn't sure if it was going to work the way I wanted it to. But it turned out that it did. That's probably something that would be handy to have as a scrap as well. That's why I keep these sorts of things around. Schnikey. Well, we might have to go hunting around for it in the forum or something. Crap. It's always poop, unless it's boobs, but you didn't hear that from me because I'm an adult. I'm an adult that doesn't need to use the word boobs all the time. ODAT nerd widget. Yeah. I can't remember what the thing was called. But in any case, there was a thing that I did for... Someone asked a question in the forum about something like that. And what I more or less had was something that looks like that. And then it listens for the command being next field and looks at the selection, grabs the text out of there, and presents it in a quick panel. It just sort of went a little boobs up, if you will, if you tried to move backwards through and stuff. But I only worked on it for a little bit as a proof of concept for the guy. But we can definitely add that into the to-do, which is I'm game to try anything. All right, here's something that I want to test out, and we'll see what we have here. We don't care about you. That's the help. We don't care about that. We don't care about that, and we don't care about that. Technically, I don't know that we necessarily care about that at the moment, but there's something I want to test here because maybe we can add a little bit of extra awesomeness into this thing. If I did sublime.find resources star.sublime snippet, and we did R for R, whoops, in, whoa, hey, welcome to the fan pile, Ashwin. Since you are a member now, Ashwin, if you can test, well, sorry, let me say this very carefully. If you could check something for me, down below the chat, in the box that looks like a little dollar sign or whatevs, when you click on that, do you see an option for gifting a membership, or do you just see super sticker and super chat and not gifting? Because theoretically, gifting is supposed to be enabled, but I don't know why I don't see it. But I'm also not considered to be a member of my own channel, so I don't know if there's some magic that has to happen there. But in any case, thank you so much for that support. If... oh. Here, how about we do this? There are currently 10 snippets in my user package. If I did something like this, what the hell's that thing called? You. Where'd you go, guy? Okay. Here, let's just snag that file out, close this window, and then put this in here so we can actually edit this and see. New latex document dot sublime snippet. If I put that in here, we may have just come up with something clever here. If we were to create a new latex item in here. Huh. Well, I think we can see the delightful ramifications of this. One of the things that was added in Sublime Text 4 was this setting called ignored snippets that oh, you do? Huh. Well, I guess I need to somehow make myself a member of my own channel or something. That's weak. If that's the case, do you see... Oh, I guess you don't see a join button anymore, huh? If somebody else that's in the chat could, as a test, click the join button that's under the video somewhere, and it shows you a video you don't have to watch and different tiers. Oh, actually, it's not in there. Hang on. Here, let's actually just do this. Hang on. Because it's been a bit since I tested this, and the last time I checked, it wasn't available. So if I go to here, hang tight here, whoops, and look for, well, yeah, let's just click that for the time being. I'm view our own stream like some sort of weirdo. In theory, and we're all talking theoretical here. The join button, if you click on it, you see this, which you can just pause.
Hello, fellas.
But this thing up here, if you click this 3 dots menu, I don't think Ashwin will see this because he's a member. But do you see something in this that says enable gift memberships or something along those lines? Let me know if that's the case. I think one of the rules that they announced about membership gifting is like Fight Club. The first rule of membership gifting is you have to be a member to gift members. So the one theory is that if you click on this, oh look, now I see it. I just don't see it there. Well, that's interesting. See, I have a different chat control for while I'm streaming. I don't see that there. Well, I think we may be doing something exciting next week. Because I want to gift out just a bunch of memberships as a way to say thank you to the audience. But before we can do that, one of the weird things about gifting subs, if you will, if you're a Twitch person, this is essentially gifting subs, is you have to click this, and then in this 3 dots menu, there'll be an option up here that says enable gift memberships or something to that effect. If you don't have that turned on, then you don't get the opportunity to get a gift sub. Now, if you happen to be watching the stream at the time it drops, then it'll pop up a little box at the top that says, hey, would you like to have a gift thing? And you click it and you potentially get one. But if you pre-click it, theoretically, we're all speaking theoretical because this is all brand new to me, gift subs will just go out. So since it actually appears here, but not in my actual control as a streamer for reasons I don't understand, I've been holding off on even mentioning that these were a thing because I wanted to start off by giving everybody a head start and say, hey, why don't you go and click this thing? And then the next stream out will just, throw out like a bunch of gift subs. I'm saying subs because I'm used to Twitch, but you get the idea. I've been waiting for gifting to be available to me, and in my stream controls, it ain't in there. I can support myself with a sticker or a chat, but I can't gift a membership. That's some good work there, YouTube. Thanks. So your gift was extra cool, Ashwin. Double thank you. Here's what we were saying before was one of the things that was added in Sublime Text 4 is this ignored snippet setting that you can use to tell the autocomplete system to ignore certain snippets that you don't want it to use. And the reason for that is that some packages contain snippets and there's no good way to remove them from the auto completion list if you don't want them. You know, if you decide, if you were using Sublime for Python and you wanted only your own Python snippets and not the ones that ship with Python, there was no good way to actually hide those things, so they're doing a bunch of work. So they added this setting. Now I was curious, this is why we're testing this. We should probably also refresh the snippet cache to make for sure that I'm not doing something stupid. In fact, maybe let's even just quit and restart to be absolutely certain. But it still thinks there are 10 snippets, which is how many there were before. And that still expands out. So I was curious, does this actually add this like a resource that's ignored and nothing? Just keep hitting the mic, I'm sorry. It's like a speed bag up on here. Does this hide the resource such that it's just gone, or does it only hide it from the snippet system? And if this is what it does, then in theory, enhanced snippets can, every time it finds a snippet that has something fancy in it, it can dynamically add to the list of ignored snippets the snippet that it found, so that you don't have to choose between one or the other. You can just have both. So let's do this. This setting hides snippets. The only issue that we might have with this is in trying to figure out best way to describe this. If someone personally adds something to this setting, then they don't want that snippet in the auto completion, but our package here will load the snippet and offer it anyway. But in theory, word of the night, the only time it would do that is if the snippet contains enhanced fields. So presumably you wouldn't create a snippet with enhanced fields and then try to hide it, right? I don't know, Cyberlanka. How does VS Code work? Hey, thank you, Ashwin. That's just why I added in the 99-cent tier specifically because I didn't want to gate anybody from having access to stuff like this, and I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to make $1 million or anything like that. Hardly. Mostly just this money that comes from streams and comes from YouTube goes into buying new lights, new cameras, new laptops to make videos and stuff. So it really is literally supporting the content that I do. I don't think there's a way to do that, no. Hot exit in general makes Sublime remember the state of everything, so when you quit and restart, you get back to exactly where you were. If you use projects, each project is stored in its own specific thing. So, for example, in our case here, if I close this window like this, and then I just have one, and I quit Sublime and I come back, then there's that. But I can automatically swip back to the enhanced snippets and get exactly back to where I was. But as far as I'm aware, there's no way to get it to ignore the session information if you try to open a new thing. It's always going to try to restore everything plus the thing that you asked for, because otherwise when it quits, the session information would have a session that doesn't include that stuff, and those changes would be lost. It's one of those things that's been asked for, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to come up with a way to do something like that. My solution to that problem is to just never quit Sublime. Then if you need a directory open, it'll just open the one window because it's already open and has been for 6 months, you know, apart from dynamically throwing stuff around. So, sorry I can't be more help on that one. No, it's and you know, to be perfectly honest, like what happened in the Discord recently where someone said, is there a way to get a project in a new window? And I'm like, no, I think the best way to do that is to do this. If you want to pop something like that. And the thing that I might even have been you, I think, Ashwin, that pointed out that, you know, you can just hit Control Enter and it'll open directly. I have such muscle memory for Control Shift N and then that I completely over my head that was the thing that was added. I'm sure I must have saw it when it was mentioned in the README and probably went, oh, that's cool, but my muscle memory is so hardcore on that I completely glossed over that it was a thing that's even possible. Whoa! Another supporter. Thank you, TECHignition, for that support as well. Much appreciated. I pushed a key I was not intending to push. This is some sort of red letter night for support on the channel. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Your support really does mean the world. Oh, was it Ben? Yeah. There you go. I remember somebody said it, and I'm like, oh, well, egg on my face. And it's that exact reason why I always try to answer in a way where I say, as far as I know, or I think, or something. And in that particular case, I didn't, because I was talking into my phone at the point where I answered it, and I didn't say it the way I would have typed it. So, of course, that's the time when it turns out that I'm wrong, and I really don't know what I'm talking about, which, you know, frankly happens a fair bit. Yeah. I wish Twitch had that sort of action as well. As an added benefit, I also get a higher percentage of stuff here than I do on Twitch as well. All right. What was the next thing we were actually going to work on here? Oh, and I remember what I was going to do. We want to boost this stuff out into separate files. There's a few things we want to do, so let's check this. Well, let's do this. What were we calling those things? The augment classes should be in a separate folder. We need the port from override audit. Yeah, it's like, it's sort of a weird off-sided thing because YouTube is trying to start stepping into the space for Twitch, and they're making like a lot of inroads there. And some of the stuff is like cool, like, hey, I can offer channel memberships and specify stuff in here. But also weird, like when you gift, you can't gift, I think, unless they change this, you can't gift memberships unless you already have a membership yourself. They might have changed that because everybody was like, meh? You can't gift just one. You can only gift 5, 10, or 25. It always gifts as close to $5 without going over. So the fact that I put a $4.99 tier in there means that that's the only gifting support that's available. But I sort of figured I would be the one doing all of the gifting anyway, so that didn't bother me so much. And you get like a 70-30 split instead of a 50-50 split like you do on Twitch. And Twitch they're trying to make stuff better, like making the time between payouts better. It seems like they're trying to play catch up, and YouTube is going a little faster, but they're also adding they're their own weirdnesses to things, you know? And I don't know that it's necessarily good or bad, just different. The other big one is there's raids on YouTube now, but you can't raid just anybody. You can only raid someone that you've previously established a relationship with, which on the face of it is good to make sure that you don't hate raid or, you know, that sort of thing. But also it seems very weird that you can't grow your community by just introducing it to another community without introducing your community to their community first. Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it? Here's the thing we're going to do tonight. Have the augment classes adjust the snippet. That's the one we're going to work on right now. Oh, we also want something like this. These are in no particular order. Let's just run through these real quick. Right now, our simple thing here in the event listener, whenever it notices that a file has been saved, and we should fix that too. If it's a Sublime snippet file that's in the packages folder, it calls this function, which just throws away all snippets and then refetches them. It should be smart enough to also do that, first of all, when the list of ignored packages changes. So when you add a new package, scan it. If you disable a package, scan it and remove. There's a setting to control whether we want details. We could probably add that real soon. Configurable format. That's something we're going to be working on right now, so we don't want that. Insert the clipboard. Got it. A command for inserting our snippets. We still need add snippets to the command palette as well. That snippet setting that we just came up with. And then this stuff here. Ow. Partnered? Nearly 10 a.m. Oh man, it's almost 10 p.m. for me. Oh yeah, if there's extra stuff that we can put in here that people might find useful that's not already supported. I haven't fully decided how well it'll work, or how it'll work, I should say, not how well it'll work. But what we've come up with is this base class that you use to say, hey, given this snippet content, does this snippet apply? And then this one that says, given this snippet content, what are the variables that we should actually do something with? And then adding an extension is just as simple as, in this case, adding a class. So this one does something if a variable named date is found, and it creates a variable named date that has the current date and time. And similarly for the clipboard. The idea is that these classes could be plunked into, say, a special folder in your user package or something. And then the plugin will try to load and source those files, grab the appropriate stuff to have a list of all of the snippet extensions so that you could augment this yourself as well, was the idea. But the thing that we're going to add right now, which is this one, have the augment classes adjust the snippet contents if needed. And you tell me if this sounds like a good way or not here, but what this does is look for a variable specifically named date, and if it sees it, it knows that this applies, and then when it comes time to expand the snippet and it asks, hey, what are the variables that apply to this, we say the variable named date should have this value, and then thus this expands out. But what we don't have here is any ability to format what the date should actually look like when it gets inserted. And my theory on how that is going to work, New latest is that we would do something like this. To specify, i.e. the text that would normally be the default value for this becomes the format. And if that's the case, we need a way to convey that, because otherwise Sublime's not going to know to do that. It's not going to give us the default. It only uses this if this variable doesn't exist. So my theory is if it sees something like that in here, for each one that it finds, it generates a new temporary variable that has the date in the appropriate format, and then it rewrites the content for that particular one so that it knows to expand it out a certain way, if that makes sense. That's the best way that I can think of to do this in a nice way. Well, without doing a whole bunch of stuff. How feasible would it be if someone installed this package and were able to create their own variables with ease? Yeah. And I don't know if anybody wants to do that, but it would take a tiny bit of coding, but literally like that much or that much, depending on what you want to do. And probably we can even make some of this even more fancy than it is. But I would love to make this something that would be, it seems like a waste of a package just to add two things, you know? Ow. The real trick comes in how seamless and easy it is. It's definitely feasible. We can load the file, find all of the classes, and examine them to see if they are subclasses of enhanced snippet base to know that it's something that we care about, and then just add them directly. What we're doing here hackily is every time we define one of these classes, we're adding it to this list. That needs to be more dynamic. But I want to get these classes sort of into the shape for interface that we want before I start boosting stuff around, because it's a lot easier that way. So the question is, well, one question is, what's that actually expand out to? Okay, this is the default format. This is the format we potentially actually want. Whoops, put that back over there. That's the format we potentially actually want. How do we actually make that happen? One of the things you can do, is there a way to regex, find all the matches, and call a function with them to do get the replacements? I guess is the real magic here. And this is one of those things that's going to be tricky to do right, but we can potentially do it right enough to get started. So let's say we want Python. Oops. Is it just replace that does this? Resub, okay. I'm having this potentially senior moment that whatever, that the replacement could potentially be a function instead of a string, in which case it's called. Yeah, there we go. If it's a string, any backslash escapes in it or processed. What if it's a function? It's called for every non-overlapping occurrence. The function takes a single match and returns the replacement string. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Ashwin. And thanks again for joining the old channel here. Have a good day at work, if such a thing is technically possible. Okay, let's see. Return the string obtained by replacing the leftmost. Yeah. Pattern replacement string. Well, in this particular case, we're probably going to work on this a slightly different way. That what we're going to do here, and we can actually work it in here like this. So let's do this. If we said content is equal to, really? Really? Oh, for Christ's sake. I don't hate it as much as some. It's kind of being a jerk right now. That's probably more crap than we technically want. So here, let's just do this. All right. Okay. That's the string. That's our input. Okay. What we want, first of all, sorry, re.match.help. Try to apply the pattern at the start of the string, returning a match object or none if not found. So, yeah. The string is content. Wrong way, right? Yep. All right, cool. Kind of figured. The string, the first string is the content. Can't type. Still can't type. And the regular expression that we want is a $sign. Definitely a literal $sign. Directly followed by one of those. The word date. Then a colon. Then anything that's not one of those. Well, yeah. Realistically, we want something like that. That would be, well, let's say star. What the hell? And that whole thing is optional. Theoretically, assuming I knew how regex match worked, you know. I have it in the wrong freaking order or something. Pattern string. Figures. Pattern string. No match? Well, I wish I could say I was not confused by that, but you know. Here. For our purposes here, let's say we're looking for that. Still no? Are semicolons magic in this thing? That's the first value that I'm passing in here. Does regex 101 support Python as a thing that it just does? Yes. All right. The test string is this. All right. And the regular expression that we are looking for is a literal $sign followed by a open brace followed by, in this case, the word date followed by a colon followed by an optional expression followed by the close. The optional expression that's going to be in here is the complete set of characters that's not a brace, and there needs to be 0 or more of them. And actually, that should appear in there. So there are 2 places where this matches. I thought it was supposed to be all magic, but the magic of this whole, maybe I double tweaked that when I didn't mean to. So it's finding this one, and it's finding this one. And in particular, maybe, actually, you know what? Let's say what we actually want is for the colon to be on that side and not that side. Then it doesn't find that one because there's nothing in it. If there was, it would. Well, let's say we make it a all right. It doesn't find this one because it doesn't have a colon, and the colon's one of the bits that's out inside of this part. It does find this one because it has a colon. It does find this one because it has a colon. And then what it matches for, the first optional capturing group is a sequence of 0 or more characters, which can be anything except a closing brace. Okay? Which is why it finds this one, because the number of characters that there are in here before a closing brace is 0, and 0 is 0 or more, so that one matches. And this one actually has some text, so it also matches. So we can see those happening here. There's 2 matches, and those are the 2 groups. So in the world of the purely theoretical, that is the actual thing that we want here. I guess we should probably have put that like so. I'm not entirely sure why it's not matching here when it is matching there, because if you need to compile that first, that's just weak. That's weak as balls. That's what that is. Not to put too fine a point on it, but yeah, all right. Doesn't find any match there either. So there's that. I suppose I'm missing some stuff on my regex here. Why are those set? Don't tell me date's not a valid regex, because it totally is. I may not know much, but I know that. All right, missing something interesting there. Unsure what. I mean, all else being equal, we want to compile the regular expression anyway, but still. Probably do that because I don't think I did that there. Just to check. Well, all right, so that's definitely not doing anything. Nope, don't like that neither. How about this? Still no? I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty interesting. All right, you can go away, search term, because you're making me irritated now. Use the backslash to indicate special forms. Yeah, so I would imagine that I sort of figured we were probably going to have to put more backslashes there. Solution, use Python's raw strings. Most regular expression operations are available as module level functions and methods on compiled regular expressions. Oh, all right. Still no, though, huh? Clear the console, bro. It's got to be something really stupid that I'm just clearly glossing over here. For anybody that happens to be watching here, I have a Discord. I'm not sure if the bot's popping stuff out. One of the things that I'm thinking about playing around with is doing some unofficial stuff where maybe I don't want to stream directly on Twitch and maybe I don't want to stream directly on YouTube, but I still just want to hang out. So in my Discord, we have a channel set up where we're going to I like how it shows it in the thing up there too. That's very clever. Does this look familiar? Is that Python as well? Must be, right? Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that part works. We want to actually do the match to replace. But anyway, what I was saying about the Discord is we're going to jump into Discord a little bit later to play around with maybe streaming just some fooling around in there. And that would give you anybody that's interested in a chat to pop into and the voice chat and say hello or whatever. See you later, David. The sequence compile pattern match string is equivalent to re.match pattern string, but using compile and saving the result is more efficient when the expression will be used several times. Yeah, that's what I would normally want to do, but this points out that what we were trying to do would actually work. So if that's the case, then we don't need to compile the thing. And we could just say re.match that, for example. And it should theoretically match, because the text date appears in there. Whoops. Why does search work and match doesn't is really the intriguing question of the day. Because it seems to me that they should both do a thing. But it doesn't really matter because I want to do a replace. I don't want to just find them and then have to screw around with them myself. I want to replace them on the fly. I've already forgotten what we were going to use to do that, to be perfectly honest. What we actually want is was it sub or was it replace? Oh, you're making me angry, guy. Return a string obtained by replacing. Yeah, so we actually want to sub this. We want to sub with that pattern with a replacement of doot in that content, all of the text, and only so basically that's what we want. But I don't know why the match didn't find it. If you know what I mean. Because that isn't how that works. Again with the let's do that. And then just because we can, let's do not RE but regex.sub doot and content. Hey, Lord Focus. Hello, hello. I was lurking in your Twitch stream for a little bit while I was getting my own YouTube stream ready. How you doing? I think that did what we want. I remain cautiously confused about why that didn't work. Is it? It should be the same volume as everything else. It's almost exactly the exact same setup. I don't think I have a... Nope, it's still cranked up to 11 as far as these things are concerned. Sure, your speakers aren't turned down? I think I know why I wanted to do match. Class dot regex dot match on content. See, the issue, such as it is, is that we needed to not say none before that. So clearly we don't know what match actually returns. I think that's our problem here. I think we've stupidly thought that if 0 or more characters at the beginning of a string match this. So yeah, I guess wow. I guess we want search for that thing and not that. Now, I think the problem is Python offers 2 primitive operations. Match checks for a match only at the beginning of the string, but search checks for a match anywhere in the string. So the reason it doesn't work is I assume match is, hey, does this regex match? But that's not what it means. So what we were doing was working perfectly because the thing that we were trying to test in the snippet doesn't actually hit at the start in any of the tests that we made. So nice for that, I suppose. What we want is actually return class.regex.search content, I think, instead of that. And if that worked, then that would still appear and it would still do something. All right. So in theory, that's all cool. Just because I'm paranoid, we're going to quit and restart. I'm a quit and restart kind of guy. Okay. There we go. The one from the snippet. Wham. Cool. All right. Phase 1 of operation, please work complete. So that's what we have there. Dang. What's sub get again? Yep. Thank you. Yeah, no, I could just have the re.sub, which is why I searched for that. The pattern, the replacement. If it's a function that's called for every non-overlapping occurrence, it takes a single match argument and returns the replacement string. All right, so print match and return poop, because that's how we do. And then instead of returning that per se, we're going to build ourselves up to something that's going to be hopefully okay. And then we'll make it work afterwards. So the sub is going to have the pattern first, yeah, because it's part of the thing. So the replacement is just going to be stuff, and the string is going to be content. We want all of the stuff. What's the flags do? Anything? Anything? Bueller? Stop it. Oh, right. Yeah, that's less interesting than it could be. All right. So We save that. Everything seems to be okay. There, just to verify, plugin reloaded, didn't crash. We do this, and it blowed up. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. There's our match. Tell me you use Windows without telling me you use Windows. Oh, hang on a second. My screen turned all blue. Give me a minute. Yeah. What the hell does that mean? All right, that actually did something. Actually, I think we do in fact want the colon inside of that. Going back over to our example over here in regex 101. And we put that entire snippet in there. Whoops. Because we want this one to match too, even though it doesn't have anything that comes after it. So we need to know where every date is, and then also for any date what might come after it, which in this case is nothing, but in this case is something. And then we know how to do with that, you know? I couldn't get it to work well on Sublime, so I have to use VS Code instead. Yeep. Well, wait, what were you trying to do that didn't work on Sublime? Oh, TypeScript? Did you try LSP TypeScript? If I can't get to sort it on Sublime, well, maybe that's to be expected. I don't know, but you definitely got the ear of somebody that knows some stuff about some stuff. Okay. So in our code, we in fact want that to be included. Whoops. And it is. So if it prints match and returns poop, and this is going to sub in, the replacement is stuff, the content is the content, it's going to just print the result of that when this function is actually called, which is when you expand the snippet. Then we see that it actually replaced both of those with poop, so that's good. The weird thing is this. Line 212. Line 139. Oh. All right, yeah, I guess that's to be expected. We're not returning the thing that it needs to be able to actually do something. Tee-hee. Okay. So try that again. There we go. So, first things first. There's a couple of things that we need to do here, okay? And let's sort of talk through what actually has to happen, because there are multiple matches here. That's one match. That's another match. Do we not get the captures out of the match object? Previous stream, I spent 1 hour raging at Visual Studio Code because it insisted I couldn't import a file that was being imported on 24 files. That right there, Lord Focus, is part of the reason why I don't like using IDEs. My coworker had the exact same problem, and she was very new to TypeScript. So it was just, she was really relying on Visual Studio Code to guide her with what she should be doing, and it was telling her she was doing something wrong, but she wasn't doing something wrong, and it just sort of sent her into a mental tailspin, and she contacted me almost on the verge of tears one day because she'd been fighting with something for like 40 minutes for why is it saying that this is broken? And I'm like, does it run? And she said, yeah. And I said, then don't worry what the IDE is telling you, because it probably doesn't realize that that file is there. Maybe try quitting and restarting, and that didn't work, but restarting the whole computer did. It was wacky. Now, I want to remind everybody that the actual snippet content that we have has this, and it has this. Now, both of these are a variable named date based on this format. What we need to do is this. As we're processing this thing, see, because actually, let's take this one step back, and then you'll see exactly what's happening here, okay? Because what we're returning back is a variable, something that you put inside of these squiggle braces in a snippet. In this case, one named date, that says when you see the variable named date, expand it out to this string right here, which is going to be today's stirf time with today's date with stirf time using %x as the actual thing. Okay, that means that when this snippet expands, this and this both get expanded out to the exact same thing. The text that comes after a colon in a snippet variable is the value to use if there's not a value for this yet. So, for example, notice how the text after the colon for this is title. If we expand this out, this text after this is title. That's the placeholder until we type the actual text. For things that actually have a value, they will insert out into this thing. But what we want is for our snippet to be able to specify the format, and if you don't specify one, it's the same as putting %x on the end. So what the snippet loader needs to do is take all of this text like this and transform it through, saying that this is just going to be the text date, and this is going to be the text date _1, for example. And then when inside of this code we say date is this, and date _1 is date time, stirf time with whatever that text was that was right there, which is this. So that this still expands out as a single variable, but with an appropriate format. If any of that makes any sense at all. I prefer the simplest tools I can find. I started making sites on Notepad. A couple of years later, found Notepad++. Took me 10 years after that to find and adopt Sublime. Yeah, I've never been a super fan of an IDE, as I'm fond of saying in streams, with the sole exception of Java, because ain't nobody wants to program in Java without an IDE. I like it as a time-saving tool for people that really know what they're doing and are really under a time crunch. It's okay as a teaching tool, but my fear is if you teach somebody to code in an IDE, they don't learn the actual skills they need to use the language and tools they want. They only have the skills to drive their IDE. So all you have to do is take someone that's used to using Visual Studio Code for their C and C++ development and drop them into Vim, and they're boned. I mean, doubly so because they may or may not know how to edit in Vim. So let's say Notepad. You can write C code in Notepad. If you don't know how to compile and you don't know how to link, you can't write your code. And if the IDE held your hand on that and you didn't actually learn those skills yourself, you're kind of screwed. You're not so much a C++ developer as you are a person who can write C++ code in a particular IDE sort of thing, right? As, you know, grumpy old man mode engages. But nevertheless. Okay, so let's say we want vars is... Oh. Let's say we make that to be an empty thing here. And inside of it, well, actually, let's say today equals datetime dot today, for example. Okay. And then there's going to be a variable named date whose value is today dot stirf time %x, like this. And then we return variables. The text that we want to return here, let's say, is always that for the time being. The result of which should be that if we were to expand document out, you know what? Then that ends up being a date. Is there not two dates in the snippet? There's one above clipboard and there's one right there. And that one up there gets inserted. Why doesn't that one get inserted? Uh-oh, what did we break? In my previous job, I wrote React code in Sublime and patched it in prod a couple of times. Always good to know, like, VI or Emacs or those sorts of editors, because you never know when you might find yourself in an unfortunate position. Whoops. Stop it. Oh, sorry. I meant to do that. That seems on the face of it like it should have done more or less what we want. The first one was converted into a date, and that one was left as a date, as a special snippet. Just because that clipboard one is really starting to piss me off, I'm going to do that. Let's do that. Oh, alright, that's working as expected. So what we're expecting is for this one to have a different format. So, what we... Cool. I want something more like Nano, but my sysadmin insisted that what I wanted was to shut up. Yeah. Have you ever read this stuff, Bastard Operator from Hell? If not, I highly recommend. It's been a while since I read it, but okay. All right. What's in a match object? Can we get the captures out of the match object? It's groups, isn't it? Returns one or more subgroups of the match. All right. Yeah. Cool. In this particular case, we know there's only going to be one. So, we can. Well, actually, yeah. Let's do this. Let's print match, and let's print match.group0 as well, just so we can see what it's actually going to do. And we get the whole thing. So I guess we actually want group 1 and not group 0. Which makes sense, because group 0 is usually the whole match, and then 1 is the first capture group, and so on, which is why /1 for replacements or $1 for replacements, etc. Perfect. In many regular expression tools, /0 represents the match as a whole. Even in Vim and sed, same sort of thing. Although when I use sed and vi Vim type stuff, normally ampersand is what the /0 is, and then the next one /1 and so on. But in any case, that's the magic of that. So what we want to have here is, let's say format is equal to match.group1. Let's say format is equal to match.group1 if format is not none and format is not equal to just a single string. Then we need some magic in here. One is a format string of date underscore and the length of variables. This is going to be a crude first implementation of this. It's not going to be very intelligent, and if it works, then we can spin later how we actually want this to go. Okay? So get the first thing, which is the match text, which is the colon and everything that comes after it, or none if there's no colon, because that part didn't actually match. So if it's none, we don't care. If it's just a single colon, we also don't care. Because we're going to plunk some text in there anyway. Otherwise, we're going to come up with a whole new variable whose name is date and an underscore, and then the number that is the number of things there are in here. So there's 0. Or sorry, there's 1 right now. So the first one we'll create will be date 1. And then after we add it, the next one will be date 2, and so on and so forth. So we'll have a variable. Then we can say variables var is equal to today dot stirf time of the thing that I can never remember. That if x is the string poop, then x1 should be oop. Yeah, cool. I always have to do that because I never actually trust it. Do we need to do anything more special than that? I don't think we do. we need to return a format string. Oh man, how does this work? That's how you would get a thing, right? I think. All right, so we do that, and then if we expand that, the first one is the whole thing. Group one is that. The second one is that. There's a none. The first one becomes var, and the second one becomes var. So yeah, that's not how you do that. Sheboygan. I mean, it'll work. How do you use... You do that? No. Well, that's an embarrassing knowledge hole. Anything that's not contained in braces is literal. If you need to include a brace character in the literal text, it can be escaped by doubling. Oh, alright. So I guess I just needed 3 instead of 2. Alright. I can dig it. Clear. Oh. I blew that up real good. Oh. Well, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, thank you, Dan. Oh, because that's... Wait, no, this is still inside that. How is that? What? Who? Who drank the tea now? That blew up because when it tried to do that, the variable named var didn't exist. What? Oh. That's probably more clever, huh? So this one ended up being date because there wasn't anything special about it, and this one ended up being date_1 because there was something special about it, specifically that. If we also were to do something like print variables when we did something like that, then we would see that what happens when it's about to trigger is it finds that one, gets that format string. It finds that one, it gets that format string. It does the replacements of these things and knows that this one here, which is the second one that was found, which doesn't have anything, should just be the same way it was when it came in. So it is. This one's got some sort of special format, so it gets crammed out to be a date1 instead of a date. And down here, the variable date is what it always was, but date1 is the date that's formatted according to that, which clearly I do not know how date strings in Python work. It's singles, isn't it? One Y for 2022? Really? All right. I mean, I'm cool. It's not how I'm used to doing it, but I can get on board. I'm hearing it on FM. And there we have date1 having the appropriate date, date having the appropriate date. So knowing that the snippet looked like this, the one that had the format of this in that position would expand out to be date 1, which would expand out to be a date in that format. And this one that's just date that doesn't have any special format would expand out to that, which is what it was going to do. So except for the part where we're not actually rewriting the thing so that it can actually do something with these, I think we're more or less there. Because if I actually expand it, that one works, that one doesn't, because it doesn't know what that actually is. Yeah. Oh, and we're kind of past our time here. So here's what we shall do here. Let's sort of finish this up. Let's say we don't really need that and that to print. We don't need either of those to print. We just need that. So both of them are expanding out wrong. Why is that one expanding that way? Oh, because we're not actually... Right. Right. Okay. Minor brain fart. This is what the expansion is currently seeing the snippet as. We're telling it that there's a variable named date 1 that has the right thing, but we're not actually fiddling with this thing yet, right? So what we need to say... class reg. I probably should have just used this. What we actually want is for that to do that, and for this to return that. And then both of the places where this gets invoked, or the one place where this gets invoked, would be here. We need to do some magic with this. And that is at the point where this part happens. We get the trigger, the description, the content, and the list of enhancers. One by one, we update to get extra variables. But what we actually want is to look at what we did at the bottom and then jump back to line 138. So it's expected to do this. We go to line 138. It's supposed to do that. All right. So new vars and is equal to, whoops, enhancement dot variables. We're going to give it the content that we have. And then the snippet args are going to be updated to include the new vars. And content is equal to new content, roughly speaking. We need to rewrite the snippet content in order to implement some variables. So that looks somewhat similar to that. So previously, this was expected to just return a list of variables, and it just kept sticking them together. I guess I could probably just do that, huh? Now, when it calls it, it gets a list of variables to add, and it gets a potentially modified content. Then it updates the arguments to include the variables that it got. It loops over all of the ones that apply. When it's done, it creates the completion using the snippet args that we gave it up here, which I guess means we might need to swap that. Include the adjusted content into the arguments. We can expand it. And then we don't do it that way, because that would be a terrible mistake of epic proportions. Oh, actually, I guess we could just do it here, couldn't we? Yeah, what the hell. Let's not screw with it up here, because that's just gross. All right. According to me, what we're going to do is we're going to expand out this snippet. That one's going to be in the format it was always in. This is going to be in this new format here that we actually worked out. And it's totally not going to generate any messages down there, because that would be a terrible, terrible situation. That's not the button I meant to press, pardon me. Whoops. Oh, I see my problem. I screwed that up. All right. Here we go. Loaded. There's the snippet. And then... if I was better at the buttons there, that would totally have been more exciting, right? But it totally worked. So let's run it through its paces here. Let's say we don't really care about any of that stuff, to be perfectly honest. What we want is the current date, and the date with the format of year, and the date with the format of month, and the date with the format of day, and a date with the format of year, and then a month, and one for year day, and then one for month day, and then one for year month day. Year, month, day, year, month, year, day, month, day, year, month, day. You probably want to make sure that works too. Sheboygan. All right, so as the first implementation, that's pretty much what we want. Now, we want this to actually technically be kind of smarter than this in this particular case. Because it, for one thing, here, I guess the easiest way to point out what's probably awful about this is to do this. So all else being equal, when we expand this thing out, you can see there's a date 1, that's a year, a date 2, that's the month, a date 3, that's the day, a date 4, that's the year and the month, a date 5, that's the year and the day, date 6 is those, and date 7 is that. If we actually had the same thing in here twice, like this, so there's 2 for year, then when we expand this out, there's a date 1 for 2022 and a date 2 for 2022. And although that works, it's kind of manky when in theory all we really have to do in this thing here is keep track of what variable was used for what format, and then either return back the value for that format, the name of the variable that we came up with that for that format last time, or create a new one and return that. Just a little bit of an extra sort of a cache in there. You might even consider that kind of a memoization of the thing, because if you call this with the same a particular value, you get the same value back every time, but it's cached as it goes. But that's, I think, a good first stop on this thing. So actually, you know what? Let's commit that in and make sure that it's still kosher. Yeah. Theoretically, you could also put other stuff in here, presuming that the thing is as smart as Sturf time is. You know, like the current year is that, so in theory, that spops out there too. If you needed something like that. Seems like you could do that in the actual snippet, but in case you're doing something with a format that requires something like that, whoops. Nothing, huh? All right, well, in any case, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to look at that because that's entirely wrong. We're importing the regex thing. Sounds like what we want. Here in this code here, previously we would set up the snippet args to be this content, stripped, and then one by one call the enhancements to say, hey, what variables are you adding? Now, we set up the snippet arguments to be an empty thing. One by one, we invoke this. It's giving us variables to add, which we can update just as we did before, but also we get an adjustment potentially to the content. It might not be an adjustment, but it might be, and we want to make sure that those cycle through, which kind of means that at some level it's important to know what order these things go in, but I don't want to get into the situation where someone wants to include the clipboard as something inside of the date or whatever. So we're not going to even deal with that level of nonsense here. That's going to be out of scope for us. So because we're doing it that way, we have to put the actual contents into here at the end instead of the beginning. And for those that are unaware, this is just in the insert snippet command, which can expand a file, but it can also expand a snippet inline if you just give it the snippet content, which is how this whole thing works in the first place, right? So we're kind of happy with what that's doing. That means we're changing the contract on our little class here, whatever we named it. I can't remember. Enhanced snippet base. We changed the contract on this. We should actually change the content on that too. Return back. Return back a dictionary of variables and a potentially modified version of the contents of the snippet. The variables dictionary has keys that are pardon me. Let's do that. The variables dictionary has keys that are the variables that need to be expanded, and the values are the text that need to be inserted. There we go. Add a little bit of extra comment in there so we know how that's actually working. So there's our big old comment that describes it and that it in fact returns a dictionary and a content. Right now it's returning nothing special and unmodified content in the base class. Should we actually use something like that? This stupid line doesn't need to be here, so we'll just get rid of that one. But what we are doing is capturing a regex that captures the date. Look for full form date variables that have where in the optional default value can be for how to present the current date, like so. That's going to be inside the class. Now, instead of just looking to say we apply if, we might need to tweak that as well. Hang on a second. Instead of just seeing does this string appear anywhere, we look to search to see if it does. And in fact, does it say it returns the first instance? Because we only need to know it's there, you know. The first location and return a match object. Okay, returns none if no position in the string. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Do we need that to return is not none? I kind of like that better. Cool. So as we got that going now, instead of just looking for that, look for the regex that actually triggers us. And then, instead of just hard coding a single variable named date that has this content, we capture the current time. We say by default there should be a variable named date, because we're only going to do something special to the variables that have a format string defined to them. And when we search for to add a variable, we're going to be given a regex match object that is a date variable matched from the content of the snippet. And if there is one that is special, then the capture group is going to be the format. Variable name is going to default to date. If there is a format and it's not the empty string, then do this. So if it is none, we just do nothing and it's just a regular date, because it's just date with nothing, or it's a date with a colon and nothing else, in which case we don't have to do anything special. Otherwise, we create a new temporary variable. We add it in using that as the format, and then return back whatever that variable is, so that when this particular instance with the special format gets expanded, it gets expanded out to the right stuff. And then we need to modify the content by invoking this function once for every date variable, if there are any, and then return that back. Yeah. And in the clipboard one, we just need to say that we're going to return the content back as well as that. And I think that's pretty much it. I hate when that happens, TECHignition. Don't tell me I'm wrong when I'm right. This is a small change that allows us to variables to take. This is a small change that allows for custom variables to take some form of custom format to control how they expand. Modified so that along with just hold on. I wouldn't mind having a cheat sheet for regex patterns, like just the generic ones, or the ones that are most frequently used. Boom. I would never judge you for that, by the way. Let's go ahead and push that up. Should probably throw this into the thing as well. If you're looking for things that can be done in a regular expression, as a suffix on something, star means 0 or more, plus means 1 or more, and question mark means 0 or 1. Text matches itself. Dot matches a single character. What else we got in there? For a word character. /D for a digit. /S for white space. I find that these are the ones that are used most often. Character class. You know, one of those 3 characters, or anything that's not one of those 3 characters. Alternation, this or that. Oh. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, the whole idea of a negative look ahead and positive look ahead assertions are the sorts of things that I'm not super familiar with in the way that I am other stuff, because I spent 2 decades working with regular expressions as defined by grep and sed and awk and ed and vi and vim, none of which are fully PCRE engines in the same way that Perl and other languages are. So it's a new thing for me that I can use, you know, /D and not 0 to 9, or /S and not space tab new line. or /W and not A to Z, A to Z. Oops. I turned on caps lock. All else being, you know, what it is. But for our purposes here, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna press a button over here, and it's gonna look like this. I'm going to thank everybody for hanging out, particularly TECHignition and Ashwin, who's currently at work, for joining the Sublime Text fan tier here on the channel. Thank you so much for your support. That means a lot to me. You have no idea. All that stuff really does just help support content coming to the channel, which I have been working on. It doesn't seem like it, but I have been. I was actually going to record some stuff this weekend, but I did not want to be standing in the room in the middle of a heat wave because I can't have fans running while I'm recording videos. And it doesn't look cool to sweat through my shirt. But trust me, I have a bunch of ideas for shorter videos that are going to come out. And as a member of the channel, you may get access to those things early. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be whoa, what'd I do? We're going to be exciting. Glad to help with a new thing, TECHignition. We are going to be continuing working on this next week. Maybe refactor stuff a little bit. That's the current plan anyway. If you subscribe to the channel or follow me on Twitter, you'll get notified when the next stream gets scheduled, which should be in a day or two, because I'm creating custom trailers for these things now. Having a blast doing that, by the way. If not, you can catch me on Twitch on Wednesdays and Fridays as well at the same time slot, 8 till late. We do it a little bit later there than we do here on YouTube, working on our current project, which is replacing stream elements with something of our own design. And if you're in my Discord, then probably in about 10 minutes, I'm going to hop into the channel that we created earlier today to play around a little bit with screen sharing and stuff to see how that might all work out. So if you're interested in that sort of thing and you want to pop in and say hi, technically should be able to, in theory, word of the night, jump in with audio chat as well if you want to say hi with voice instead of with text, assuming I've set the permissions correctly. If not, I apologize in advance and we will get that sorted out. So with that, we're going to head away. If this was Twitch, we'd find somebody to raid, but we can't, so I'm just going to have to ask everybody to please have a sublime day, and we'll see you in the next stream, in the next Twitch stream, or maybe in Discord. I'm not sure. Until any of those places, have a good one, everybody. Good night.